Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about what is going on in the city of Chicago, one of our absolute favorite cities to talk about, because they are experiencing 65 car thefts each and every day over the course of a week, totaling in about 457 thefts, nearly 500 automobile thefts in just one city, and that is considered to be down from the previous year, down from the previous time. But this is considered to be a positive trend. Crime go down in the city of Chicago, and yet it's still insane. It's still absolute madness. Now, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to break this down, but before I do, thank you to everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
We know who's doing some of this stuff. What are we doing about it as parents?
A Chicago alderwoman has simply had enough of the car thefts plaguing Chicago.
Wait, has she? Has she actually had enough of car thefts in the city of Chicago? Because I listened to that quote, I listened to that snippet really closely, and she said, we know who's doing this, we know what's going on, what are we doing as parents in order to address this situation? Now, granted, a lot of problems come from the home. A lot of criminality stems from how these people were raised and whatnot. I totally get that, I totally understand that. But if only this older woman were, let's say, an older woman in the city of Chicago, then maybe we could ask her what she's doing as an older woman for the city of Chicago about the rampant car thefts going on in the city of Chicago. So in my opinion, right off the bat, this representative has not had enough of this. This representative is pandering. She's shifting blame. She's doing everything and anything to avoid the fact that the reason crime has spiked so dramatically in the city of Chicago is due in large part to the policies of the city of Chicago. And by the way, the mayor does not only act alone. The defunding of the police and all these other ridiculous policies were passed by older women and older men just like this, who are now turning around and complaining and saying that we had enough. How about you propose a bill, get your Democrats on board to make some changes, empower the police to stop this, rather than instituting new policies like don't chase people when they steal cars, call a supervisor, and all these other soft on crime pieces of legislation that have made their way through the city of Chicago's legislature.
Well, Don and Terrence, it was so shocking when I saw the actual number that I had to call over the executive producer to look at it to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Car theft was the highest it's ever been in the city of Chicago last year.
Yeah, you guys heard that right. We just got the 2023 numbers in, and automobile theft, the highest that it's ever been in the city of Chicago in the year 2023. And they say it's not slowing down here, but it's actually slightly down, minusculely down from last year.
But this year, the thieves aren't slowing down. In 7 days, 457 cars have been stolen.
But again, that was the all-time high, so we had a dramatic increase, then a slight, tiny, barely noticeable decrease that followed that. So according to most people on the left wing, crime go down, crime not a problem. Crime is a right-wing conspiracy theory because we are only 2% down from our all-time high, and that's the standard that we operate with. Did I mention that murder's not as bad as the 1990s, the worst period in American history? As long as we're not at the absolute worst, then everything's a-okay, first class all the way with all these lefties, and we could just tolerate the mass car theft that is going on in the city of Chicago, because why would we ever have consequences for the thieves? They're innocent Aladdins. They're angels.
This isn't a typical car crash. The white car was stolen out of South Suburban Riverdale Tuesday.
You know, as somebody who had my own personal vehicle stolen 2 days ago, made an entire video about it. If you want to check it out, it will be linked in the description. I'm going to tell you that my first goal, the first hope that I have, is that my vehicle is returned in the condition that it was actually taken in, and I've recovered all of the personal property that I had in said vehicle. That being said, an accident like this, where the thief, the thug who stole my vehicle, got injured severely, crippling injury, maybe even death, not very low on the list. You steal people's cars, I'm done with you. Death penalty for you, death penalty for everybody in your family, death penalty for all your friends, and honestly, we should go to your home, pull it down brick by brick, and set it on fire. Can you guys tell that I am in no mood to deal with the excuse making for people who commit these crimes?
Yeah, we're southbound on the Dan Ryan right now for wanted vehicle struck to Riverdale police cars.
The car took off. A day later and 15 miles away, this is where it was found. The driver of the stolen car smashed into this red vehicle in the 6300 block of South Stewart in Chicago and tried to get away.
So in this particular incident, not only did this criminal steal the vehicle, depriving that person of their sense of security, depriving that person of their vehicle. For a lot of people, that is their most valuable purchase that they've made, their most valuable item. But of course, they decided to flee from the police, drive like maniacs, smash up another civilian vehicle, end up hitting 2 additional police cars, and then they took off running. Again, all of this, by the way, was to fight against poverty, according to people like Jessica Burbank.
So I think about like what contributes if property crime is also down and burglary is also down. Why are we seeing an increase in carjackings? I mean, we saw an increase in the price of used cars and trucks go up by 40%. That's a very high number. I think people are really struggling to afford cars, and it's really sad.
Because the price of used cars is so expensive, how else was this guy going to make it to the grocery store if he didn't smash up people's cars, steal people's cars, crash into the police, and then flee from the police?
And people are really struggling. They need cars to go get groceries, go to work, what have you.
He really, really wanted to get that bread for his family, but the fact of the matter is he had no other option but to do this. It's not like there's this thing called a job, that you can get where you can actually earn money and pay for things. This was the only option afforded to this criminal, according to people like Jessica Burbank.
In the span of 7 days, from January 29th through February 4th of this year, 457 cars were stolen. That's nearly 65 cars stolen citywide every single day.
So first of all, 457 cars stolen over a 7-day period. That insane of a clip of car thefts is crazy. It's insane. It's absolute madness. But what's even more insane, what's even more madness in the city of Chicago is this number right here, that it's down 7% because over the same week period time the previous year, 491 vehicles were stolen. 491 in 2023 at this time. In the dead of winter in Chicago, that's how many were stolen last year. So this is an improvement. This is an upgrade. This is positive data versus last year, even though that positive data is 65 stolen cars a day. Madness in every possible way. Insanity.
That's actually slightly down from the same time period last year.
Again, for people on the left, since crime technically down from all-time high, then crime's not a problem. The problem was solved. It was defeated. Poverty was alleviated by 7%, and maybe they arrested 7% of poverty at this point in time, so that's why it's down. And honestly, we should be praising these criminals for only stealing 457 cars.
On the side of accountability, you do the crime, you do the time.
So again, they come back to this older woman and she said it's all about accountability. You do the crime, you do the time. And that's great. That's interesting. That's fascinating to me. If only, again, this older woman was an older woman in the city of Chicago and she could do this thing like propose legislation that could be signed into law to ensure the people who steal cars, who do the crime, actually do the appropriate time associated with this. Now, again, it is not all on her. The fact that the Chicago older woman, men, whatever group, city council is what I'm going to call them, happens to be completely inept and completely pro-criminal and wants to defund the police and put all these other restrictions and regulations on them that prevent them from doing their job is definitely on her. But you also have the mayor, Brandon Johnson, who's anti-police, and you have the district attorney for Cook County, Kimberly Fox, who thinks that, oh my God, I can't believe the police chased this person down. All he did was steal a car, smash it into another vehicle, smash it into 2 police cars, and then take off running. Why would they consider that to be any type of crime? Why would they consider that to be criminal? And you expect me as the prosecutor to prosecute this? Insanity. I'm not doing that. Is there any way that I could actually give reparations or some kind of money, some kind of check to this criminal? Because honestly, the criminal deserves it. If only this guy was given a good job, because good jobs descend from the heavens. They're not the product of hard work and actually delaying gratification over time. Then maybe, just maybe, maybe this person wouldn't have gone on this crime spree. Maybe, just maybe, crime could be down even more than 7%, although 7% from the all-time high, from a dramatic increase the year before, we should all be celebrating that because it's Chicago.
This safety plan is just not on CPD in the city of Chicago. This is on all of us as neighbors.
So she says it's not on the CPD or Chicago, it's on all of us' names, which I guess she's talking about the community, because the setup for this was that it's not enough for the community to complain. And I agree with that. They should vote differently. They should vote this alderwoman out. They should vote Brandon Johnson out. They should vote Kimberly Fox out, because all of these people enable the criminal rather than actually go after them. So she's like, oh my God, it's not enough. You got to rein in your kids. How about you in the city of Chicago rein in the kids? How about you arrest them? How about you charge them? How about they face consequences when they do things like Grand Theft Auto and cause this many injuries related to this? Because, by the way, we haven't even gotten to the injuries. And remember, this is just one Grand Theft Auto in the city of Chicago over this week period out of 457.
The stolen car crash sent 5 people to the hospital with serious injuries. One of them is in critical. The driver of the stolen car was arrested on scene. Charges and citations are pending against him.
So yeah, 5 people were injured in this. 5 people had serious injuries, and one of these people is in critical condition. One of these people could die because this thug, this criminal, thought it would be fun to steal a car and decided that running from the police was worth the risk to everyone around him rather than actually facing the consequences of his actions. Now, one of the things that I find hilarious is, of course, that this young person was arrested, this youth, this teen, and the charges are pending. Like, they haven't even attached Grand Theft Auto, and the reason why is because we know that Kimberly Fox is going to downgrade the charges. The fact that this is a youthful offender, the fact that 5 people are injured, none of that's going to matter, because Kimberly Fox is going to say, oh my God, under 18, that's a baby, that's like a little infant. I can't hold an infant accountable for a car crash. And honestly, what about this infant being in poverty? Have we found out what poverty was wearing? Have we found out among all these cars which one poverty was driving, which one poverty crashed into this guy, into this police car? Anybody got a description so they could turn it over to Kimberly Fox's district attorney's office so they could arrest poverty, charge poverty, and finally get a conviction against poverty? And anyone? Bueller?
The young people who are still in these cars are young people. Like, let's make it plain. When we look at the videos, you can look at, these are babies. We could have caught that baby in 3rd grade, but we was too busy figuring out how many jails we could build for them instead of really giving them the support they need.
Now, I know a lot of you thought, Sean, you're a little bit too angry. You're a little bit too emotional because your car was stolen. So you're overreacting to these criminals. And honestly, you're projecting your thoughts and your opinions onto this older woman rather than actually addressing the points and realizing that this person is on your side. Well, she's not on my side. She said, this is a child. This is a baby. And honestly, we could have got to that child back in 3rd grade rather than figuring out how many jails we could build for him. Yeah, because the problem in this situation is these repeat offenders that keep getting released, that keep getting slaps on the wrist, that keep getting their charges downgraded until they get to the point where they kill someone, weren't given enough breaks. They weren't given enough diversion programs. They weren't excused enough. The issue is we need to invest more money into the failing Chicago public school system that already spends way too much money and deal with this in the 3rd grade. We need to address the root cause. That car is smashing into you right now at this moment. You're in the hospital recovering in critical condition, but in reality, what we really need to consider is the poverty, or how this kid was treated in 3rd grade, his education and all that, because if we fix that, that car that's barreling into you right this second wouldn't be there, because that's how this works. This woman wants to invest in time travel so we can go back in time and teach this kid a little bit more maths, a little bit more woke studies or something like that, that he's the victim a little bit more, excuse make for him a little bit in addition to what they've already done in the city of Chicago, and that will solve all the problems. Absurd. Insane. You want to know why criminality is running wild? You want to know why that 457 car thefts in just a week is down from the previous year? It's because of this kind of attitude. It's because of representatives like this. You got to change how you vote in Chicago, pure and simple. You almost beat Brandon Johnson. I give you some credit for that, but the most criminal areas voted for him overwhelmingly. The people who were victimized by these criminals backed the pro-criminal candidate. They voted in been the Cook County District Attorney, and these are the consequences of those elections. And it's insane. It's ridiculous. 5 people injured by this thug, by this criminal, and this woman wants to talk about his 3rd grade classes. Maybe if he was graded nicer on his macaroni art, he wouldn't have done it. Absolute madness in every possible way. I've said it before and I will say it again on this channel. Root causes are not more important than any other cause. For instance, if somebody's diagnosed with HIV, we do not decide that we're not going to do anything to treat the symptoms because we don't have a cure for HIV. Sure, a cure would be great, it would be fantastic and all that, but what we actually do is aggressively manage the symptoms because right now that is the most efficient way to deal with the problem. These people are absolutely insane. This idea that if you gave more money to the corrupt, failing Chicago public school system, then that would somehow have the downstream effect of not letting these kids who are never held accountable commit these crimes is insane. It's madness. Address the problem directly. Incarcerate repeat offenders. Stop going soft on criminals. Stop pretending that 14, 15, 16-year-olds are actually the same as babies. They're totally innocent. How could you punish them for anything and hold them to account? Your peak offending years start from 14. They end at age 24. You need some harsh consequences for these criminals. You need to take it seriously because people could end up dead. Again, this is just one instance of the 457 over the course of that week, and it's just accepted and it's used as an excuse to promote other unrelated left-wing policies that this person's already interested in because she has no interest in accountability.
So that's why I said it's accountability on both sides. And parents, know what your damn kids doing.
Yeah, there's actually no accountability on the criminal side, and that is the problem right here. And sure, parents should be more involved in their children's lives, but the thing is, you have bad parents in Chicago. You have parents that let their kids run wild. You have a gang culture and all of that. So what are you doing as an alderwoman in order to address this? You're talking about spending more money on 3rd grade programs, 3rd grade midnight basketball as the solution when that's not going to solve anything. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about this crazy auto theft spree in the city of Chicago. Till next time.